It is mid of June, and as we all already seen, airlines start ending their grounding and will start flying soon again. My name is Müller, and this is my colleague Christine Weigner. We are both from Lufthansa Consulting, and very much delighted to be part of this conference today. This time, unfortunately, on the digital version. The most challenging questions are how long the crisis will last, how the pandemic will progress, and how quickly and to what extent air travel demand will recover. What we already do all know is that this crisis will not be resolved within a matter of months. There are already several scenarios out there trying to forecast the economic impact and the recovery process. Adding to that is not our aim today. Instead, we will rather focus on parameters and indicators that support network planners in focusing on the horizon while flying by sight.
Coming to our key question number one, what makes the current situation so complex and difficult for us right now? The first complexity airlines are dealing with in their forecasts are the prevailing travel restrictions imposed by governments around the world. While we have seen that lockdowns and cross-border restrictions are cautiously being lifted, there are still the key criteria in determining which routes an airline is able to fly. We can see the impact of travel restrictions on capacity reductions across all countries right now. As these restrictions are gradually relaxed, capacity is starting to return, coming back to the skies. Some countries are starting to form COVID-safe bubbles in which travel is possible. For example, Australia and New Zealand, Hong Kong and China, or among the Baltic states. The process for doing so, however, varies across the world. Looking at the European Union, for example, each country has its own approach, which is generally not coordinated. Apart from the lockdowns, COVID-19 has led to even further restrictions for airlines. These include new governmental regulations resulting from state aid grants, which will impact the operational planning and development for airlines. To name only one example, Air France may not conduct any more domestic flights except for the feeder flights via its hub. But even if airlines are allowed to fly, what are customers' expectations that need to be fulfilled for them to decide to fly? It is expected that demand will recover gradually from mid-June, July onwards. Based on findings from several studies and interactions with our clients, we anticipate that, in general, leisure-oriented travel events will recover earlier and grow slightly faster than business travel. As a result, the most attractive destinations for the upcoming month will still be within domestic and then slowly intracontinental markets. Regarding international long-haul tourism, even within the next 2 years, demand is expected to recover only slightly. Business travel, on the other hand side, will suffer even more long-term consequences, as a more digital way of working will be the new normal. This will also be impacted by the difficult financial situation that many businesses will experience over the upcoming decades and quarters. In order to still encourage demand growth for leisure as well as business travel and to ensure positive experience for those who do travel, all players in the travel ecosystem need to redesign the end-to-end passenger journey. This will include more binding, harmonized regulations for air travel to comply with health and cleanliness standards to positively impact customers' willingness to fly. Passengers will need to be thoroughly informed and empowered to take more control on their travel journey, including responsibly assessing their own level of health risk before a journey. In general, buying decisions for traveling will become more complex and extensive as the number of criteria for consideration will increase and travel behavior will change toward more meaningful events. In addition, we still need to take into account reduced long-term predictable demand due to uncertainties in travel planning and changes in the perception of flying. All of these factors lead to a high market volatility and inability to forecast demand based on traditional approaches. Therefore, new indicators as well as new modes of data collection and management are needed. Traditional databases cannot deliver everything one needs in this special context. Real-time data, particularly factors related to disease containment, travel restrictions, booking trends, and customer sentiment, are essential to monitor developments and incorporate them into planning and forecasting.
So what does it mean for the day-to-day business of a network planning department? Traditionally, network planning is an extremely structured process which relies to a large extent on the predictability of travel behavior based on past travel patterns. Today, in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis, the basis which was built up over decades is now not reliable anymore. Airlines will now need to steer through the turbulences of visual flight until they have understood the new demand patterns and the new customer requirements. For the upcoming months, we will see a very dynamic resumption of services and offered volumes. The exact course of the recovery cannot be charted, but must be explored route by route. Therefore, to cope with this new situation, network planning must adopt a new way of working, characterized by flexibility. The foundation is based on all data and facts we know for sure, such as travel bans and bookings, always with the target to detect the earliest sign of demand recovery. For all planning beyond that, airlines must find ways to identify new data. Using and smartly combining these new data has turned out to be one of the core challenges for many airlines we work with. Data or data sources we had experienced to be highly useful are, for example, general economics such as GDP forecasts and income levels, public health indicators related to COVID-19, airline websites information, customer surveys, search trends on online search engines, or unstructured content such as tweets or comments on social media. In line with the need for new data, airlines must focus even harder on collaboration across all related departments. We experience that planning needs to integrate as many data sets as possible into their models, but actually several very interesting data are created, stored and maintained by other departments. One example. Typically it is the marketing department that is in charge of steering performance campaigns and therefore has access to large volume of cookie data. Additionally, functions such as loyalty and customer insights also have very valuable data sets, which are now essential for network planning considerations in the ramp-up phase. So what does it mean? The ability to prioritize routes based on an early demand signals will separate winners from losers in the long run to recover from the COVID-19 crisis.
Knowing the implications of the new normal and also having the insights from how to work and which data are relevant in the future, we are now focusing in our last question on how to proceed in order to chart the path ahead. Having identified the relevant data to consider, the question is, how does one then apply this to predict the future demand structures? At Lufthansa Consulting, we approach the recovery in 4 distinct segments, varying in the level of uncertainty and hence the factors driving traffic and the duration. The first segment is on near-term revival in 2020. This depends on immediate factors such as easing of travel restrictions, travel search or booking behavior, and improving customer sentiment. For airlines, this gives guidance which routes have the most potential for the relaunch. For airports, it allows operational and financial planning for the rest of the year. The second segment describes the traffic growth in 2021 and lays the baselining for long-term demand. The third and fourth segments then consider the long-term perspective by also including the more traditional drivers of air traffic again. We are currently, however, still months, if not years away from entering the phase of mid and long-term growth. Therefore, we would like to talk a little bit more in detail about actions airlines need to take right now. To support our clients' network planning teams and around the world, we are using a tool that tracks the key metrics of markets of countries of interest in real time. This includes, but it's not only limited to, the development of COVID-19 infections, Google Trends for customer searches, travel restrictions, economic indicators, and the capacity being put into the market. Further insights are then gained from benchmarking the data against that of selected other markets or countries. These insights, in combination with route economics and our client's strategy, enables us to develop an airline-specific priority list of potential routes chosen from a broader network portfolio. Using these prioritized routes, we can start to drive schedule planning and optimization. Airlines must put particular focus on achieving reasonable commercial and operational efficiency. This is crucial to overcome new challenges such as longer turnaround times due to hygiene measures and a less dense hub structure due to fewer flights. For ongoing optimization, route performance must be tracked on a regular basis and resulting schedule adjustments be implemented quickly. No one in the industry can guarantee exactly how things will turn out over the upcoming month, but having all the data at hand and making an informed decision is key to success to survive.
So what will the future hold? The travel industry in general, and aviation in particular, will recover. Well, the recovery will take time and may come with some bumps along the way. We will all have to acknowledge, understand, and adapt a new way of normal. To successfully manage these future challenges, new and smart data combined with digital concepts are key. We have started the session with social media postings from several airlines. Coming now to an end, we would like to conclude with sharing one last post from Brussels Airlines, which poses the questions whether we shouldn't learn to fly again. Thank you very much for joining today's session. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us. We are happy to hear from you also in the additionally offered online sessions.